Hello everyone and welcome to another edition, the live edition of the Mac and Forth show, where people can actually hear me this time because I've done something properly for once. Joining me on this auspicious occasion, we have first up Dean Murphy. How are you, sir?
I'm really good. And if I break up during this show, it's not because I'm downloading the betas.
Yes, it is.
Promise.
You
promise.
are. Of course you are. I'd be disappointed if you weren't, sir. Also, we have Steve Leach. How are you, sir?
Very good, thank you. Cheers, got a beer on.
You're still drinking that beer. He was drinking that a minute ago as well. It's gone down a lot since I last saw it, but there you go. And also join us via photograph, we have Alan Vickers looking stern as ever.
It's a true representation.
Is it?
Seem very still.
Yeah.
Everyone's going to think you was a jolly person, Alan. Now they're going to see this photo and think, oh my God, I wouldn't approach him.
I probably was staring at my phone thinking, I wonder what this button does, and it took a photo.
Well, what should we talk about, hey? On our first live show. I wonder what we should talk about. Well, we know what we're going to talk about, but first of all, we're going to say hello to some of the people in our wonderful chat room. So Matthew, hello, sir. Alex, how you doing? Mark, how you doing? Brian, Paul is here. Stephen is here. Mark, I said Mark already. Paul, I've said Paul already as well. Jason is here as well. Stephen and Brian, I might have already said. And Gazmaz has also joined us there. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for coming to join us. I hope you had an exciting keynote presentation. I was a bit concerned to begin with some of the things that they were showing, but it certainly picked up towards the end there, didn't it? My God. My word. So, chaps, let's jump right in because we've only got about an hour to do anything. By the way, if you come into the chat room and just type new, it's the first time you've been here, say new, and I can say hi to you as well if you haven't already done it, by the way. So where do you want to start? Alan, where do you want to start, sir?
We were going to go through it in time order, weren't we?
Yes.
But surely we got to go to the end.
Well, okay. That was the most interesting bit at the end, yes.
Yeah, the ARM transition. Well, there it is. Or the Apple Silicon transition, I should say, to use the proper nomenclature. I mean, didn't that go a lot further and better than anybody expected? Certainly beat my expectations in terms of support, even for apps that were compiled for the old Intel architecture. So they've got Rosetta 2, and some of the demos of those apps running on Rosetta 2, you would never know, would you? You'd never know that was an emulator.
No. It was
games especially are very hard to emulate. When they had that Tomb Raider demo running in with a good performance, it was quite surprising. Yeah.
I mean, how dated now are our Macs? How quickly should we be concerned, us who bought Macs fairly recently, be concerned that they're now going to be obsolete in a few years' time?
He did drop in a line, didn't he, about they're going to be supported for years to come, the Intel Macs.
Yeah, but what does that mean, in all honesty? I mean, how long were Power PCs supported after they switched over to Intel?
I think it probably took a good 2, maybe 3 years, didn't it, for that transition to for the Power PC to fully peter out.
Yeah, I know, but it was still it still happened. There was still a point where all these things started to become obsolete. I mean, it's kind of scary to know there's a potentially a ticking time bomb within all our Macs at the moment. I mean, they didn't go in to that big a depth on it, so we might be okay. They did mention they're still going to support Intel for a while. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I'm scared or really excited. I know I'm both, actually. That's the trouble.
I think the big thing is our developers going to be supporting Intel. Like Microsoft had their demo running on ARM. How much further during Office's life cycle are they going to be thinking about Intel Macs and not just thinking ARM only Macs? With Apple saying they expect the transition to last about 2 years before every device they sell. I think that was the kind of term, but 2 years before every device they sell is an ARM based Mac, Apple Silicon based Mac. what does that mean for developers and supporting the old Intel architecture, which of course there's loads of Intel Macs out there, but how will they drop off over time?
And what were some of the things that they mentioned that this thing is going to have, this Apple Silicon?
A big one that stood out to me, they didn't mention it, but it's on this list that you've put up. In the bottom hand corner is unified memory. And this is something they do on iOS, I believe. I'm not 100% sure, but I know a lot of consoles do it, like the PlayStation and Xbox. It basically means, think shared RAM that's shared between a CPU and GPU. Instead of having, say, 16 gig of RAM that your CPU can use, and then your GPU has 4 gigs of RAM in it. This is just a giant bank of shared high-performance memory that anything can tap into. So if it needs more GPU storage, it's there. If it needs more CPU, heavy CPU use, it's there to be used. So that's quite an interesting aspect of it, because the computer dynamically changes its RAM allocation or based on what task it's doing.
And is that built into the system on chip, Dean, as far as you know, or is that using traditional system RAM?
I believe it's using traditional system RAM. Not necessarily, it's not built into the chip itself. I think it is separate, but it's just accessible by either the CPU or GPU, or actually both.
I am very excited about this. I mean, when he started showing off the new Mac OS as well, and it looks very iOS-y, shall we say, I thought, well, is this prepping us for some like cross-platform pollination here going on? It turns out it practically was, because according to what's presented on the screen, we'll be able to run our native iPad and iOS, iPhone apps on the Mac as well, which would be great for me, because that means I can, if I so wish, use Ferrite, I guess, if I buy a new Mac. Oh dear, this is the thing. We're not going to be able to take, none of us here today are going to be able to take advantage of this, are we? Unless we update and buy a new Mac.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. I've been seriously considering over the past few months getting a new laptop, but I certainly I'm not now. No way. I'm going to wait. Yeah.
Well, you'd be mad not to, wouldn't you, really? But, I mean, you can buy the developer kit. You can get that now, I guess. They're going to be taking orders now. And then it's going to come online. They're going to release something later this year. I was very vague on what they were going to deliver. I've got to believe it's going to be a laptop. Although the iMac is long in the tooth as well. I mean, it'll be really interesting to see if... I mean, they were showing off some of the demos of what this thing can do. And the biggest surprise for me is when they got to their own apps. And you had things on there like Final Cut Pro, which was running like well. I know he's running it on a Mac Pro, so how how limited could it be possibly? But yeah.
Or was he? We never actually saw the Mac Pro, did we?
Well, that's true.
Maybe he's running on one of these Mac Minis that they're going to be shipping out to developers. Of course, they may well have a Mac Pro with Apple Silicon built in. Running in the labs, but the fact that they've got Mac Minis up and ready to go, almost ready to ship, he said they're available to apply for straight away under the Quick Start program. But yeah, I think the first commercial Apple machine to use the Apple Silicon has got to be a laptop, because they were talking about that upper left corner of the chart where they're talking about less power with more performance, and what better advertising for that is running on a portable machine.
Yeah, it's interesting, that point about what machine he was using for all those demos, because he dropped that. It wasn't a surprise to us. We were anticipating it, that he would at some point say, and everything you've seen so far tonight was all on one of these new Apple Silicon Macs. But the only one he talked about existing right now is that demo thing, the Mac Mini with an A12Z in it. I wonder if all that stuff, which as Core said, was very impressive performance. I wonder if that was running on a Mac Mini with a single A12Z in it.
Oh, it's going to be tempting to find out. Matthew has said, if I can click on it, the DTK is $500 and you have to give it back at the end of the program. So that's nice. I also just noted that Warren has joined us, and Nitrox has also joined us. So, hello. So yeah, we got some. I mean, on the whole, are we really excited? I mean, the rumors were blatant. The rumors were everywhere. You couldn't turn for not seeing a rumor. But in like the back of my head, I just thought, no, they can't. They're not going to do it. It's just too much of a leap. But then once they started explaining, we something else we want to show you, I thought, or something else the Mac OS is going to be good on. I thought, here we go. I'm getting excited now. And they went into the secret lab down the long corridor, and with their flashy, bloody lab with all their racked Mac Pros and everything on display and flashy lights. I mean, come on, we're in the video geekery. It's like we all love a flashy light. So it was very impressive. In fact, the whole presentation was, impressive as well. We was wondering how they were going to do it. Thought they might just come and stand on an empty stage. That wouldn't be very compelling. But the way they sort of did all the various sections, and they zoomed around the campus, and it was really well put together. I mean, they should have been well put together because they basically own a movie company now, effectively, with their production and everything.
It started off really well with Tim standing in front of the empty stage, didn't he? He was on an empty stage, and he even turned round so you could see the empty chairs. So it was a good starting point to say this is where it normally is. The maps zoomed in right on the circle, didn't it? Right to the Steve Jobs Theatre. You went down the steps with him, and you saw only Tim in there. And after that, they just zoomed anywhere the hell they liked. And it was really, really good. The only thing I didn't like about this new style, I don't know why no one can get this right. I really get annoyed when you can see people's eyes reading the auto cues all the time. You can see them going left, right, left, right, left, right. It's really off-putting.
Do you know what that means? They need to go slightly further back.
Yeah.
It means the camera's too close. That's what it means, normally. Is there any other aspects of this that we should be looking at? I'm just trying to see some of the images that I captured while it was playing.
I think the virtualization was quite a nice surprise on using the Apple Silicon. That's something that they didn't have to put in, and it's interesting that they say you're going to be able to run Linux, and can't remember what else they said actually. Another one of the
Docker, yeah.
Docker, that's the one, yeah. So that's pretty interesting. Really positions the Mac as a great development machine because so many people are running Linux servers themselves. You'll be able to run it, right on your Mac. And as they said, go access the Apache server on it straight in Safari. It was a pretty slick demo.
Mm-hmm. A lot of Linux servers. Sorry to jump in, but a lot of Linux operating systems are compatible with ARM as well. Like, for example, like Raspberry Pi that runs a lot of Linux servers. That's an ARM-based computer. So I don't think it's anything they've done here which is native to the Mac, like special for the Mac. I think they're just making a point to say, yeah, we can run other operating systems. We won't mention Windows because that doesn't really have an ARM version, but it does. But no one uses it because it's never took off. But we'll ignore that. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, one of the questions that's just occurred to me is this the end of boot camp?
Seems like it. I'm wondering if this virtualization can run with the Rosetta stuff, so it can run an x86 operating system such as Windows. But I don't think so, but I'd like to be proven wrong.
Well, the trouble with doing a show right after the keynote is we haven't gone and read the small print like we'd normally do when we would do the show on a regular Thursday, but that's the offset, I guess. We got some comments here from our chat room. So Warren says he reckons the Mac Mini will be the first one that they decide to switch to the new processor. Brian is saying they did the same thing with the PowerPC to Intel transition. Devs purchased units and then they had to return them at the end of the term and got a production system. Let's see what else have we got here. Mind you, also Warren, I kind of agree with this. The OS updates weren't that huge, to be honest. I certainly didn't feel it for iPad OS, and in a way, I mean, okay, I know iOS got a bit of a lick of paint, and we're going to come to that very shortly, I guess. But yeah, on the whole, I don't think the actual iOS's got that much of an upgrade. The Mac one did, because it got a totally new lick of paint. Although I can see, so I bet you some of the old timers are going to be furious about the way it now looks, because it all looks like cartoony now. It looks like the iOS basically.
It does.
It does. Gaz says Tim was very relaxed. Best presentation I have seen from him. What? No, I'm not. But the Apple wheelchair was awesome. What are you talking about? Okay, what else have we got? Oh, yes. So another thing that was spotted, which we'll probably get to, spatial audio for AirPods Pro looks interesting. It bloody does if they can get that to work. That looked like magic. Let's see. And I'm not seeing any other ones. What's Gazbaz saying? All the updates were just solid and getting ready for the transition. Yeah, I guess they were actually thinking about it. Okay. Right then. So we are pretty excited about the transition, even though it might cause us some pain. I reckon in the long run or short run. Depends how you look at it, really. But well, where should we go now then? Who wants to pick our next subject? Let's go to Steve.
Well, I think we should go right back to the start and picking up on your point about the fact that there's not many changes to iOS itself. I think the whole thing today was more about the end story and the transition to Apple Silicon. It's going to take a while not to say ARM. But I think, the whole thing was about unifying the whole platform. So iOS, iPadOS, watchOS, tvOS, right through to macOS. They're becoming closer and closer together now. Actually, one thing, another question that needs to be answered is, will we be able to run macOS on iPads with the same similar processors? But I guess we'll come to that over the next few hours or days as these things emerge. iOS 14, like you say, not too many changes, but some interesting ones. So an updated app library with suggestions. So this is the long-awaited change, I think, to the home screen and springboard. And just giving you a different way to access your apps and find what apps you've got on your system in the first place. Hands up everybody who searches for nearly every app they use that isn't on their front page.
Yes.
What was Craig going on about? He says some of us have got too many apps, too many pages, like this, and he showed 5 home screens. 5?
5?
Yeah.
What a lightweight.
I got so many when I install a new app, it doesn't appear anywhere. I have to delete apps to make it come back.
Yeah.
So I am quite happy about the widgets. So we're going to get multiple size widgets, and you'll be able to go into the various widget sections and pick what size widget you want, because I find them really, really helpful. And if they're going to be on the home screen now, I mean, I would have really liked them on the lock screen personally, but I guess the home screen's fine. Who's opening the can? A bit
Guilty.
Of professionalism, please. Come on.
It's my eye test. It's the Barnard Castle eye test from Brewdog.
Oh my God.
Insert the advert from Brewdog.
Oh, anyway, sorry. Right. I've lost my train of thought now. Anyway, so I'm quite happy we're going to get widgets and the smart stack, which will allow you to have your various ones at the top there, and you can flick through. I mean, that's going to bring a different look to all iPhones, because instead of us all looking the same, all having the same home screen, no matter what those apps are, they all basically look regimental and the same, apart from those people that put all their apps into one folder and they've just got one icon in their home screen. What's that about? But it means the rest of us can have, like, the weather app or photos or podcast or music or God knows whatever else apps we have on there, and I can see that being really advantageous, especially like when we can travel again in London. Like, I can have my timetable apps of the trains and various things that I use when I'm out and about in the town. So I'm really looking forward to when they start instigating that and putting that in. That'll be a massive change, I think.
Yeah, it's nicely designed as well, very elegant, like Apple normally is. Because each of those widgets, there's like 3 sizes, isn't there? It seems to be like the size of a horizontal strip of 4 normal icons, or the size of a square of 4 icons, or a big kind of rectangle the size of 8 icons, and they just all fit next to each other lovely, like as if you were building bricks of a house or something, or playing Tetris or whatever, all perfectly fitted.
That's it. Actually, Andy points out something. The new widgets on the home screen remind me of Metro UI from old Windows. Kind of true, actually. They don't spin
Yeah.
round, as far as I'm aware. Oh dear. Yes, that'll be a nice throwback, won't it? What else did we get? Just going through my list here. You can add blah blah blah. Okay, picture in picture as well. So if you're suddenly watching a video and you want to go off and do some other stuff on your phone, you can now do little picture in picture. I bet it is little as well on an SE. Tiny. What else? Siri has got a bit of a redesign. No longer takes over your entire screen. It just appears as a little bubble down the bottom. Local processing, they said. Do you reckon that's the thing that you was asking for the other day, Alan, or Dean? Who was it asking for that?
Dean. It was Dean. It was me. That's exactly what
Do
I was
you often
asking
refer
for.
to yourself in the third person?
Often. That's exactly what I wanted. Just asking Siri to do something, and then it will just do it. It doesn't have to ping the server. By the sounds of it, it's got lots of common requests downloaded that it'll pick up on, and if it can't work out what to do locally, it'll ask the Siri in the sky to give it a clue of what to do. Yeah.
Going on.
But
well,
and there's like a 50% chance it will say, sorry, can you repeat that? Can you do that again? Blah, 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 blah. Yeah.
Yes.
So, but yeah, this is really good. Just instant working. It will help remove that friction.
a little refinement there, so that will be nice.
For sure.
If you can actually understand us, that will be even better. You can also send audio messages now, so you can ask it to send an audio message rather than just text. And also, we're going to get Translate app offline. Both people need to be able to see the same iPhone. Oh yeah, so you can share. So you can ask it
at first. Yeah, when they were presenting it, they were saying you can have a conversation with somebody, and I'm like, well, where's the interface for that? I'm not really seeing this. But then they said when you have it side by side, it struck me that it's for when you're in a situation where you're with a person who doesn't speak your language, you can both speak to Siri and have a conversation through the text on the phone.
Yeah, it's like a sort of electronic phrase book in your hand, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that could be quite interesting, especially in London. Lots of tourists come in and ask you questions like.
So everyone can focus on an iPhone when you're 2 meters apart as well.
Well, that's it. Look here. You got magnifying glass. It'll be fine. What else have we got? Messages. So you can now message. You can now pin a conversation that's important to you at the top, so it doesn't get lost in the sprawl underneath. New emojis, even with face coverings and eye roll. Well, that's you saying eye rolls, so
that's me. Yeah.
Yes, face covering, great, fantastic. We all need to be reminded of that, don't we? And groups as well. We're going to get inline replies and mentions as well. So that will make, if you've got a big group call going on, which us lads do, because we use it as a back channel for our communication. Sometimes you miss a conversation, and if you refer back to it about 4 pages later, it kind of loses its relevance. So that would be nice to go back and see what you was referring to before. So that's a nice touch.
Proper threads. It's going to be a revolution, isn't it? It'll be so much easier to use.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's all the other major messaging platforms have got it. Facebook Messenger, WhatsApp, and whatever. It's high time we had it on the Messages app on iPhone.
Absolutely. Sometimes I forget I've got to change the cameras. Sorry about that, but it's tricky. I've got about 6 windows to concentrate on here. It's a bit of a nightmare. What else have we got?
I noticed there was something that wasn't mentioned about messages, which was rumoured, was about deleting messages.
You mean the individual part of the message?
Being able to delete a message or edit a message or delete it after it's been sent, even if it's been read or anything, that was rumoured. They never mentioned it at all.
Oh, right. What? Can we not do that? I've never even tried to tell you the truth.
It deletes off your own, but I don't think it deletes off the other recipients, which is kind of pointless.
Gotcha. Mind you, I don't know. That means we could send nasty things and go swipe it and say, "No, I never said that. You can't prove it. You can't prove I said that. How dare you?"
The trouble with editing is you can change the course history, can't you? So
yes,
you've only got to message something like what a decent fellow Trump is, and then somebody disagrees with you, and then you change the original message, and you change the whole conversation.
Yeah.
Twitter can't do it. So
No, that's true. But they keep saying they're going to do it, but I don't see how somewhere. What have we got next? So, maps. So, UK, Ireland, and Canada are going to get the new maps later this year. About bloody time, Yes. So that's good. They're going to add cycling routes, but only for certain areas at the moment. But they say they're going to add to them later on. So that'll be nice if you want to cycle around using maps. Which we're being encouraged to do every flipping day here in London. Anyway, and EV routing as well to help you find the charging stations.
Yeah, that's good because everyone gets range anxiety in these electric cars.
Hey, I haven't got an electric car and I get range anxiety. So what else? Then what did we do? Oh yeah, here we go. All the things I can't use because I'm poor. I'm not at all bitter about this. So we got car keys for rich people, so you can share your car key with your new Mercedes or BMW or whatever, or Tesla or God knows what else. Great, that helps me out a lot. Can you? Oh, apparently this is going to come in iOS 13 as well. They're not even going to wait for iOS 14 because the rich people can't be allowed to wait. See, they've got to have their stuff first. That's how it works nowadays.
My theory is
for BMW to license it correctly, haven't you?
My theory is I didn't want to put this in a beta because this is, putting the keys to your car in a beta doesn't sound like the best idea. This is something that you want to have stable and ready to ship, and why not ship it early?
Well, actually, someone, Andy just says, better not lose your phone. Mind you, you'd have to get through the key thing, wouldn't you? The ID stuff, so I suppose, but there you go. And you can share your car keys with people as well. Give them permission to take your car, officer. So all you need to do is once someone gets really legless in the pub, you can trick them into giving them your car keys or their car keys. That would work, couldn't it? Nope, no one obviously has got a genius criminal mind like I have. Okay, fair enough, whatever. App Store, there's some App Store refreshes as well. We're going to get app clips. Integrated with Apple Pay and sign in with Apple, and also you're going to be able to tap your phone against something like a QR code or something and download the little small clip that you need to partake in whatever service, be it paying for your car, gaining entry to somewhere, paying for food, whatever it may be. And that looked kind of slick. And if it's anything to go, and you're going to use sign in with Apple as well to set up an account immediately if you haven't got that particular app. So that's going to work. It looks like it's going to work really well. I mean, most things will work really well with Apple Pay, so that's going to be good to see. What else? It's where you guys can jump in, Also open with, what's this? Oh, you can also open with open from Safari, Messages, NFC, QR, and map cards as well. So
yeah, so the app clips are it's basically a new discovery mechanism for apps. So they can be triggered by something in Safari on a web page. Somebody can send you an app clip in Messages. It can be triggered by NFC or these new Apple QR type codes, and in map cards as well. So if you look up a location in Maps, and it's a destination where you would benefit from using an app, whoever edits that card can add an app clip to it.
Yeah, that's going to be quite handy. I'm quite looking forward to that, not having to do the whole thing. That's good.
The other good thing was when you have used an app clip, because say you're at a car park and you need to pay, so you got the app clip for that car park and you paid it. Later on, the whole app appears on your home screen in that the app library section under the recent apps. So if you thought, oh yeah, that car parking app, I should get the full version, it's just right there on your first home screen for you to go and install directly.
What else? So let's have a look at the final card that they always pull up at the end of whenever they show that. Anything on there that we missed that you guys want to quickly mention? New Memoji, obviously. We mentioned that. That was what the masks were about. Oh dear. I think we covered all of them, didn't we?
I think we have, yeah. I think we have. There's something on the iPad one I want to talk about.
Well, we're coming to that now, actually, yes.
Cool.
Okay, then. So let's move on to iPad OS 14. So, Dean, what on earth do you want to tell us about the iPad one?
So something that wasn't mentioned in the keynote, but is at the bottom of that big screen overview they do, is right at the bottom, set default email and browser apps.
Mm-hmm.
And that seems to be part of, because they've done two. They've done one where it was zoomed in, and they said, and we'll zoom out. It has all the iOS features in as well. So it seems to suggest it's going to be on iPhone as well, which I can't see why it wouldn't. So this is a big one that a lot of people have had a few pain points with, because the Apple email app has typically sucked in the past, and Safari is not everyone's first choice for browsers. So this is quite nice to see Apple opening up on this front.
Yeah, hang on. You've actually got the wider one here. Let's see if I can grab it and put it in to the screen here a second. So
there we go.
Oh yeah, down the bottom there, right in the corner.
Yeah, just sneaked it in there.
Yes, right down the bottom, slightly to the left. Set default email and browser apps. Oh, cool. That could be interesting.
Actually, some of the things they announced in under iPad OS, we can only assume is going to translate back to iOS as well. So one of the new things on iPad OS 14 was a new way of searching. So it doesn't take up the whole screen. You just get a search box that kind of floats over the middle of everything at the top of the screen. And search is supposedly more universal. So it will search through messages, emails, all sorts of things. I suppose all governed by some sort of API that Apple are going to release. And I was hoping that sort of search will not be limited to iPad OS, but will go to iOS as well.
Yeah. It looked like Spotlight on the Mac, didn't it?
Very similar, yeah.
Talking of things that don't take up the full screen, something else was announced. Phone calls now just pop up at the top, and you can, which is absolutely, it's one of my biggest annoyances when I'm in the middle of something and a phone call takes up the whole screen. And yeah, I'm so glad it's been a long time coming. So that's a big, finally, it's here.
Yeah.
Having a little notification for a phone call rather than a full screen modal. Especially when you don't want to answer, which is me most of the time. If someone calls me, I don't really want to answer. I just let it ring off, and you got to wait a minute before you can use your phone again. It's kind of on lockdown.
But with these, you can just swipe them away, can't you? So you're not explicitly hanging up on the call, but you're just letting it ring out.
God, you're a bunch of miseries, aren't you? You don't want to talk to anyone.
I don't like talking to humans.
Right, okay, fair enough. What else have we got then here as well? In a new sidebar for photos and a few other apps as well. Didn't really get the photo updates that you was looking for, did we, Alan?
No, they didn't mention sharing at all, which is a big disappointment. Yeah, they used photos to show off this new sidebar, but then they sort of went on to say how the new sidebar and the new improved toolbar are kind of new designs for virtually all apps on iPad OS. So, and pretty much everything they showed, including some new iWork apps, all had a much improved sidebar and a much improved toolbar across the top. So, look forward to that.
Yeah, was this the handwriting recognition stuff as well?
Yeah, that was different, but that new handwriting thing was really good. So, it's pretty much as we guessed, that you can use the Apple Pencil to do things like enter handwriting into any text field, any editor field, any password field, any browser link field, search field, anything you like. Just write the words and it converts to text instantly.
Yes, it's going to be good to get my hands on this. But again, still not many features, I don't think. So improved, like I say, now music now playing screen, much improved. Artwork, play controls and lyrics all on one screen. Incoming call, compact notifications, which you just did. New minimum search GUI, which you just mentioned as well. So Pencil, we're getting Scribble for iPad, which is that feature which we was just mentioning, where you can draw in the search box or anything like that, and you can get the actual hand recognition to realise whatever it is you're typing. We're going to get smart shapes as well, so you can draw a shape on notes or something, and then if you hold the pencil down when you finish completing the shape, it will pop into a proper looking shape rather than just a roughly drawn one. Data detectors for handwriting text, phone numbers, addresses, etc. Now I missed that bit because I was trying to concentrate on something that was gone wrong on my iPad at that point. So does anyone remember what that one was about?
Yes.
Good.
So if you got a high handwritten telephone number or address or anything that would normally be a data detector within iOS, it picks that up and allows you to do the normal things with it. So like call the number, open up maps to that address, etc. So, but all from your handwritten notes.
Interesting. I always, when they ever do show these presentations, they've always got these wonderful note pages, and then I look at what I do on notes. Nothing like it. Nothing like it. It's just sad. I mean, they've all got lovely, neat handwriting and these little sketches, and they like highlight little bits here and there. And like I say, I look at my monstrosity and I go, "My God, that looks like it was written by a madman."
It's quite impressive, actually, that she was also able to write English and Chinese notes, all in the same text field, without having to manually change the language sort of settings at all.
Yeah, well, they just show off that they can write in 2 languages. That's all they do when they do.
Yeah.
Look at me now. I'm going to write in a separate language. Or a different language, even. Paul C says copying of handwriting and paste as text was pretty cool. So, yeah, absolutely. Some good stuff there. Then we moved over to the AirPods. So, I was thinking, where the hell are they going with this once they started on about AirPods? I thought, well, what can it do? It plays your music in stereo or mono, if you only got one in. You know, you talk on it. You can do that live listen thing. What on earth are they going to do with this? And it turns out what they're going to do is... Oh, I just opened that up on my screen. That's no good, is it? I've got to drag it, silly fool. So what they're going to do is spatial audio. 3D 5.1 or 7.1 or Atmos style audio just in your updated AirPods Pro, I think it is only, though. And it also follows your head. If you move your head, the gyroscopes keep it all aligned, which... sounds weird, freaky to me. So everything's, and even if you're in a car, it will still, like the car turns, it will still, mind you would turn with the car, so that wouldn't change in this. But I don't know. But I can't believe that this is going to work. Although saying that, you did send us all a demo or piece of audio, which just played a little bit of music, and it went all around our heads. It was weird. So,
I remember that. Yeah,
it can technically be done, I guess.
Yeah, it's actually something that goes back to FM radio as well. There was a technology they used there which widened the stereo field, and it was one of those things where some of my mates couldn't hear the difference, and some were like, "Wow, that's just amazing." But it's all to do with how quickly the signal gets from one ear to the other. So if you play it between the ears at a slight delay, it gives the effect that it's coming from somewhere else. So yeah, they're doing some really clever processing on that, and it knows where the source device is compared to you, and if you move that device off to the side, it moves this spatial field around as well. So pretty impressive.
It's really clever, isn't it? Because if the screen moves, then it moves the spatial audio with it. But if your head moves, it doesn't move. It stays the same because it should still be coming from the screen, shouldn't it? So it's ever so clever. They track constantly the relative position of the screen and your head and work out where the sound should be coming from.
This is a technology that's going to play really big when it comes to VR and AR, because when you're in VR and AR, your eyes are pretty much the anchor point of where the sound should be listened from. And as you move your head, you hear things from your left, and when you move left, you hear it from your front. So this is, I think, them thinking ahead. This is not really technology. Well, it is technology for now, but it's something that's made to be beneficial as well in the future products, I find.
Well, I'm just looking forward to watching the old Charlie Chaplin films on it, so they'll be spectacular.
The other thing they announced with AirPods was automatic switching between devices.
Oh yes.
Might seem like quite a minor thing, but it's one of those things that's a bit of an annoyance that you have to manually switch between devices at the moment with your AirPods. So to go from your iPhone to your Mac, for example, or to your iPad, you've got to hope that they've done it in the right way, and that they, that they're not going to switch when you don't want them to. For Dean's example, if I'm gonna try and phone him and he's gonna ignore my phone call, because he's watching a movie on his iPad, are his AirPods going to switch to his iPhone when it starts ringing, or does it switch when you press to answer? I guess we'll it's another one of those things we'll find out.
Wasn't they always meant to do that though? Wasn't that one of their selling points when they first came out?
I think automatic pairing was, but not switching. Probably because they thought users would want to choose which device their AirPods were currently paired to, but the pairing works across your Apple ID. Anything you logged into with your Apple ID.
Yeah, they made it easy to switch devices manually, but this makes it easier to change, or makes it change contextually based on what you're doing on what device. It kind of knows that you want to be tuning into this device, which kind of leads me to think, I guess they're doing the same sort of technology that the Apple Watch does. When it unlocks your Mac, it knows that you're there. So it knows that I'm in front of the iPad and I've just turned it on, and it's going to switch to that because it knows I've just opened up a movie and the iPad is like within a meter of my ears. But it makes me think there might be some issues where, I don't know, if I've given my child my iPad sat next to me and I'm listening to music on my phone or whatever, they do something and it just throws the music somewhere else, or throws it onto the TV, just throws the audio off. So I'm a bit skeptical of how it works in practice. It sounds really good on paper though.
Yeah, I just seen a message pop up, Steve, that you're not going to like. Watch OS 7 only compatible with Series 3 Apple Watches and later.
Oh
dear!
Time to start saving up for the new one then.
That's it. Yeah, it had to happen eventually. Speaking of watch, so watch OS 7. The guy took to the stage again. Well, it wasn't a stage, was it? He took to the gym. Kevin Lynch, he got out there and started showing off his stuff. And we are now going to we're now going to have able to have multiple complications from the same app on a watch face, which doesn't sound like much, but can be quite good, actually. So if you've got, for example, like complications like, not Dark Sky, what is it? Carrot, I think it's Carrot app. You can have multiple different complications, and now you can have different ones, like ones for the temperature, ones for the rainfall, and stuff like that on it once they get there. So that'd be quite good. Face sharing, we heard it was coming. You'll be able to share from friends or from the web, or basically they'll be able to promote stuff. And if you haven't got a complication on this face that you're sharing, then when you go to download it, it'll prompt you if you want to download that complication, so you can keep everything in sync with the one you're copying it from. That could be quite good, as long as they're not expensive applications as well. Rich complication program with Swift UI. I don't know who put that one in. What one's got some information?
I put that
on
in. I was literally transcribing as we were watching. I think rich complications describes what you were saying about multiple complications. But I think the ability to program these complications for watchOS with Swift UI is a new thing. I don't know whether Dean can confirm that.
Yeah, you couldn't use Swift UI to make complications before. Now you can. And also, I hear that widgets on iOS and iPadOS, sorry to go backwards in time, are also Swift UI only. So Apple is really kind of digging its heels into this new UI system that they brought out last year. They call it the future of developing UI on Apple platforms, and it seems like it is. Surprise, surprise. It's something that they're pushing really hard for.
Yeah. Okay. What else are we getting? Cycling directions as well, basically mimicking what's in iOS. Again, only coming to certain countries initially to begin with. Now, all those people who like to pump it on the dance floor can now have a workout app especially for you. So when you do the Macarena, you'll be able to log it as a workout. Fantastic. So so next time you go to a wedding, you're going to be able to complete your rings, basically.
This was the most cringy part of the entire presentation. When you went to that woman in the gym and she started dancing with that massive grin on her face, staring straight down the camera at you. It was like provocative dancing, and then they go back to what's his name? I've forgot his name now. And he's in his lab and he's doing a little sort of a dad dance or a nerd dance.
Yeah, I didn't catch that, unfortunately. But yeah, I mean, dancing. They had also added a few more. I'm not sure if I captured the screen with the additional workout apps that they put on it. I think I just missed it. Do you realise how hard it is to do a screenshot capture on the bloody iPad without accidentally turning the iPad off?
Mm.
It's a nightmare. You know, to
you
top
can do it,
on a
do
pro.
It with your,
on a
you
pro,
can do it with your pencil, can't you?
Oh, now, where
Swipe
was you?
Swipe up from the bottom left. And
where was you a couple of hours ago? Yes, you can do that, really. Now, the activity app is now going to be called the fitness app. Yay. So that's good. Sleep tracking and wind down shortcuts as well, and all these things to get you ready to go to sleep. Now, was it an actual sleep tracker? Because it seemed to be they seemed to focus a lot on the preparation to go to sleep and waking up again. But then they did show this graph that did have like sleeping times on it and things like that. So I was thinking, well, is it a sleep tracker?
Yeah, they did talk about you know being able to learn from your sleep record and to adjust your routine in order to get better sleep. So yeah, I suppose that is the essence of sleep tracking, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, if it works, it works. If it might put some of the other third parties out of business, but then they can always adapt, and they normally do adapt, and they find other ways of making their app useful. So it tends to push the envelope a little bit, so that's good. And also, of course, we have automatic hand washing detection as well. So it detects that you're washing your hand and gives you a little countdown. I think it's 20 seconds, I believe. I just saw in the chat room. So yeah, in this time of where we got to be careful what we touch, I guess it's a nice handy little app to have on there. And even before all this stuff happened, if it can remind the dirty little filthy people that go into the gents' toilets in London and then do their stuff and walk straight out again and then touch glasses that I might touch later on in the evening, that's disgusting.
It's I'm slightly concerned that it's triggered by the movement of your hands and the sound of running water. There's some potential for some false triggers there, I think.
How?
Moving swiftly on.
Talking of Swift.
Yeah, talking to Swift. What?
I don't know.
Oh God!
I don't know where I was going with that.
Wow. Okay. Then what have we got? Special. And then there was a special section on privacy as well. So 200 million sign-ins with Apple emails addresses created within the last year using sign-in with Apple. We're now going to get mic and camera use indicators on our iPhones, which will be nice. Upgraded. Oh, this was interesting. If you've got an account using another email account or service, you're going to be able to switch that to update to use sign-in with Apple. How's that going to work? Did they actually explain how it would work?
Not the technical details, but that will come out later in the week. So developers, I'm assuming, can convert their locally stored accounts that the developers would store, or maybe even get Facebook or sign in with Google, and have them convert into sign in with Apple, which is something I would definitely do on a lot of my accounts, because it was great when they brought out this sign in with Apple stuff, but I've already signed into a lot of applications and it didn't have it at the time. So I'd definitely use this if developers offer it to convert my account into whatever it was before into signing with Apple, just because it's a lot easier for me to just have it all unified like that.
Yeah, it will be. It will be good. I mean, I'll be switching over a number of applications or accounts, I should say, if it's really easy. Just stepping back a little bit. Warren's got one. Oh, why has he gone up there? Warren, the watch reminds me to breathe, to wash my hands and stand up, like I'm 98 years old. So yes, it does get a bit weird, doesn't it, sometimes? So what else have we got? The ability to let apps know your approximate location. So rather than pinpointing down exactly where you are to like a meter or so, you can now just say, I'm in London somewhere or something like that. So that'd be good. Ask app not to track, notification for user choice. I thought that was in there already, actually. Data used to track you and data linked to you sections show in the Apple Store. Now, this is good. I think this is good. This is going to annoy a lot of developers, I think, of a certain make of app, shall we say. So now it's going to ask, you're going to get a little card telling you what exactly that app is doing. Now, I know you kind of get this on some Android apps where it says, you've got to give permission for it to do this, 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 and this, and this. But this one is telling you up front as well. It's going to have your, say, for example, access to your financial info, browsing history. That's a scary one, isn't it, for most people? Contact and location and everything. And what it's actually going to do is it's going to actually present that warning in the App Store itself when you look at the app. So if you scroll down to the bottom, you'll be able to see exactly what that application is. Now, they said they're going to ask their developers to do this, but how long until it's mandatory?
Well, most developers need to submit what's called a privacy policy, which is a big giant wall of legal text that no one ever reads. And that's pretty much the gist of the information that's in it. What data we collect, what we do with that data, who handles that data. And this is just really great what Apple's done. It's just a really simple, dumbed down privacy policy, just a few icons and a few bits of text just to tell you, and you instantly know what's being collected and kind of who it's going to, or if it's shared with other parties outside between you and the developer, whether it's shared with other companies, which more than often than not, it is.
Okay. Just quickly skipping back again for a little bit. According to Brian, he said Apple Insider says yes to sleep tracker, so he's a proper sleep tracker on there. That's good. Then we move on to tvOS. Oh, I've done it again. I keep clicking the wrong button is a nightmare. So tvOS 4K AirPlay. I tell you what, right? I'd be happy if they can get 1080p AirPlay to work properly, because it always stutters beyond belief on my network anyway, and I've got a fast network. But if they can get 4K AirPlay to work, then fantastic. I'll be very happy about that. Also going to have picture-in-picture. So if you've got like a camera, security camera in your yard or something like that, then if you're watching something, it's going to pop up with who's at the door as well. Now, another feature of this as well, which I thought was quite interesting, is because they're going to develop the HomeKit to be all-encompassing into everything. If you've got a HomePod and a camera with facial recognition, your HomePod's going to announce that, say, whoever it is that they recognise is at the door, which I think is pretty cool, actually. Kind of spooky. But, yeah, I mean, I'm not sure it's enough to because a couple of weeks ago I said if we don't get some significant HomeKit updates this time round at WWDC, I'm just thinking of calling it a day and going with the A-Lady stuff and figuring out what's the best hub to get there, because the price is just so much different on price if you want to go for a smart home route. I understand the ease and simplicity of Apple HomeKit, and he did say like HomeKit's being adopted and to a wider series of objects, but not in the UK it isn't. There's barely a plug out there for you to get. There's a few lights. There's the odd, I think, one lock. There's one camera.
Doorbell camera I cannot find. A doorbell camera that supports HomeKit secure video. I've even like looked at the Echo is it Echo Ring or Amazon Ring? I don't know what it's called. I've looked at it anyway, and I keep looking, thinking, I could get that. It's on sale. It's Prime Day. I could go and buy that now. It's in sale. It's even cheaper. Amazon just trying to give them away. They just want a camera on front of my house for whatever reason. But I just can't find a good HomeKit alternative. And like 2 years ago, there was a really good one, or a couple of good ones that just got announced at CES, and nothing happened with them.
Yeah. See, that's my concern. They also, mind you, they did announce they're getting into bed with this new open standard.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit, mind you, I got IKEA on there, and anyone that's got IKEA gear knows it's absolutely terrible, especially their hub. But,
just to build it yourself.
Well, and there's always a little wire missing at the end. But I mean, that's moving forward, so it's not at the moment. But I don't know. I'm still really tempted just to go and buy. And the thing is, I can't do that because it's not going to cost me much. So even if at a later date I decide going back to HomeKit, I probably only spent about 50 quid. So that's what I mean. That's the choice. It's ridiculous. What else have we got? Oh, we had the introduction of the new Apple TV Plus program, Foundation. We had a trailer for Foundation, and that looks a jolly exciting TV show. Been looking forward to that one. I think Alan's been looking forward to that one, actually.
I have. I've read all the books when I was a teenager, I think. And I remember that I really, really enjoyed them. I was infatuated with them. But now I just can't remember the story at all. So I'm looking forward to bringing back a load of memories by watching this new program in 2021.
Yeah, it looks good. It looks good. It's one of those things. It looked gorgeous, I got to say. I mean, it's something I know. Okay, some of Apple Plus's shows are a bit hit and miss, but they all look amazing. I can't like take that away from them. They all do look amazing.
Activity zones for cameras. That just popped out to me. That's something I've been wanting for a long time, and I think it's well overdue that they've brought that out because, well, I say long overdue. They've only had camera support since last year for their HomeKit video, but that was one of the big annoyances when I swapped from Logitech system to the HomeKit secure video system. That Logitech had this activity zones, HomeKit doesn't. So it's really nice that they've introduced this, and hopefully it works just as well.
Mm. I think the outstanding thing with HomeKit versus the Amazon Lady or any other home automation or smart home setups is again security. Apple seem to be focusing on security over everything else, and that might make them slower to bring some stuff to market. You know, there's a lot of stuff that will connect to the Amazon Lady that you wouldn't necessarily want to put on your home network for various security reasons.
And it was only recently that they took away the limitation of hardware-based HomeKit, which means you needed a physical chip, presumably bought from Apple, embedded in your hardware to actually work with HomeKit. And a few years ago, they turned that into software. So the way hardware cycles work, they can't just bring out a software version instantly. It takes a little bit of time to do that.
Mm. Well, we'll see. I'm not totally convinced yet. I mean, I was impressed with what I saw, and I can take some advantage of what they showed as well. But unless in the UK at least they add some more content, more stuff for us to use over here, it's still a big letdown. I mean, you go over to the App Store, the HomeKit store in the American Apple Store, and there's pages of stuff that you can get that works with HomeKit. You come to the UK one, it's like a dozen objects, and most of them are bulbs. So it kind of defeats the object, really. Okay, let's move on to macOS Big Sur. What the hell does Big Sur mean? What is it? I don't know. Anyone know what Big Sur is?
It's a big climbing thing, isn't it? A big mountain type thing that people climb.
Is it?
I think so.
I have no idea.
Or is it? No, I'm thinking of something different actually. Is it a waterfall? I don't know. We're clueless. I don't like the name anyway.
We always say that. Oh,
if you don't like the name, it also goes by another name, which is macOS XI.
Oh, right. Okay. Warren to the rescue. It's a mountain.
It's a mountain.
It's a mountain. More information in California. Made in California, climbed in California. So that's nice to know. There you go. They got something about mountain ranges, haven't they? I don't know. So what have we got in this one? So what they've done is apparently changed to a load of Apple symbols. Who wrote that? What does that tell me?
That's all those new icons that like a font full of little glyphs they introduced into iOS.
Okay.
It's now on the Mac as well. That's why the Mac, Big Sur Mac, looks just like iOS apps now, because all the icons are the same.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. Thank you very much. So it's got some new icons. They've made them all nice and shiny and very iOS-ish. Got some new iWork apps as well. Looks a lot more like iOS or Catalyst 3.0, which I think they did mention they were Catalyst, didn't they? That was the point. Control Center has got a bit of a revamp. I had a picture of that somewhere. Where is it? Here it is.
It's the first time it's come to the Mac, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Control Center. So.
Oh, that's not Control Center. That one's Control Center. I've put the wrong picture in. So there we go. That's Control Center. What else are we getting? Notifications, which was the other one underneath it, one I originally showed. And messages and maps all getting the iOS treatment as well. So that should start to look pretty good. So the Messages app, that's probably the biggest update for the Mac part of it, because it's been so far behind iOS. And even if the iOS did have the limitations, they were nothing compared to the Mac OS version. You could hardly do anything on the Mac Messenger app.
Yeah, it just fell well behind. And the good thing about this is the Messages app is now built in Catalyst along with the Maps app, which means as Messages and Maps evolve on iOS, they will also have the changes applied, presumably to Mac OS. They're not two separate apps, but on two separate code bases developed by two separate teams probably, and given two different sets of attention. Mm-hmm. So that's a welcome bonus. As Messages gets better, hopefully the Mac Messages app will more likely keep up with it.
They kept using the phrase universal apps all the time, didn't they? So let's see where they're going with it.
And we can now send confetti with our applications and starbursts and whatnot.
Lasers.
And lasers. So a load of new things in Catalyst, native screen res and checkboxes, etc. Safari privacy report button. That was also good. So let me pull that one up.
Now this is a great one. This is going to annoy a lot of big websites who, I don't know, download Big Sur, probably not in the beta, don't take my advice, but download it, load up a web page, a news website or whatever, and then click this little green button, and you'll just see how much junk loads in the background, all these different companies, all these different web addresses being sent and pinged data. So this is kind of just naming and shaming a lot of websites. It's just built into the browser. So this is like another first for a browser, because I don't think any other browser does this. By default, you have to install a third-party extension, and most people wouldn't do that because they don't know what they're looking for in most cases.
It's going to be like Ghostery, isn't it? I'm going to hit this button. It's going to scare the living daylights out of me.
Mm-hmm. Very similar, yeah. And that's the great thing. It's just normal users who wouldn't know to look for Ghostery or even think about Ghostery or even know what Ghostery is will just see this, click it, and he'll say, "Oh, why is this happening?" And then I don't know. It's just kind of just publicly shaming these websites, and I think that's only a good thing because the web is in not a great place, I don't think.
Yeah, it's good to see these sort of things coming into web browsers. I think Firefox are doing quite a lot in this sort of area as well, but noticeably lacking in this area is Chrome. So, but yeah, it seems to be the most popular browser still.
By the way, Steve, are you typing something into our Messenger app? Like I've got that on the screen as well as everything else I've currently got on the screen.
I just sent Dean something about our doorbell that's got Homekit.
I thought you were trying to, because I'm getting the notifications flash up. That was all. It was confusing me. What else have we got? So we also got now saved passwords will be checked against a pwned database. That's nice to know. Oh dear. Safari extensions will come back as well and be quite popular in the Mac App Store, and you can control them if they are going to be usable on a per site or a time-based control system as well. So if you only want to allow it for a day, you can set this extension to only work for a day, which would be a nice little feature. Would you add something, Dean?
I was going to say that's another really good feature is it uses what's called the Web Extension API, which is kind of like an open API used by, I guess, spearheaded by Chrome, and then Firefox use it. So basically, it's the Chrome API on other browsers, and it's kind of turned itself into an open standard, I guess, in the web terms. So it's great that Safari, I think, is probably the only major browser that doesn't use it, because the Microsoft browser uses it. Is it called Edge? Is it called something else these days? I can't remember. Firefox and Brave and now Chrome. So, and now Safari. So that's going to be quite interesting to see how that works. That's probably going to keep me busy over the summer, I think, with stuff that I work on. And what's next? The Safari customizable start page. This is a bit strange. This kind of reminds me of, I used to do this in web browsers all the time, where you just set a background image when you open it up. And I've never felt the need to do that anymore, but it now lets you do that. So that's quite interesting.
Yeah. Can you do this on Windows as well? I believe. I remember you could set the background of a window. But I don't.
Yeah, you can do. You can actually do it in the new Edge, which is based on Chromium. But yeah, it's got you can have an Office 365 based homepage where you got links to your Outlook, your SharePoint, and all that sort of stuff. And this is similar. So you can put links to your most used websites and whatever. And I suppose the emphasis was kind of more on personalization. It was making that Safari homepage your own.
Yeah. All the web pages that were on there were like little previews as well, weren't they? Instead of just plain icons.
I just saw a notification pop up, and it's this one from Mac Rumors, and it said HomePod is gaining support for third-party music services. Later this year, Apple is adding third-party music support to the HomePod, which will allow the speaker to work with likes of Spotify and Pandora by default. That's quite big.
Yeah.
So there you go. What will Spotify moan about now? Find something else to moan about. Bless them. Right, what else where did we get to? Let me just find that page again. Safari, hover over a tab for a preview of what it actually looks like on the page. I guess it's if you're one of these people with 100 tabs open, that'll be quite handy. Looking at you, Dean.
Yeah. I normally use the. I was just thinking, what does that mean? Hover over to get a preview, because I normally use the false touch thing to blow up an image. But yeah, you can't do that on tabs. So yeah, that'd be quite nice. I'm not going to complain. They normally do a little preview in the in the MacBook Touch Bar, which is crazy because it's like a whole website preview in this little tiny 40 pixels by 60 pixel. You can't. It makes you can't notice any website on it, so it's absolutely useless. But it's there, so it would be useful having a good, actual, usable, viewable preview.
Yes, it will be good. And the last thing, built-in translation in Safari. So if you go to a website which is in a foreign language, you'll now be able to click a button and convert it to English. Well, for us English-speaking people anyway. So that's good, and probably vice versa as well, I should imagine.
That's been a long time coming for me, because that's one of my biggest bugbears about Safari. Chrome used to do it by default, I think. It used to pop up saying, this website's in Spanish, click here to translate. And yeah, this is pretty great.
And I wonder if you can go to a government briefing website and then translate it to the truth.
What government's going to allow that? Come on.
I don't think the technology for that exists yet.
That's it. It'll blow up. It'll blow up. Now, Warren's remembered something that we all forgot, but we'll probably remember tomorrow morning, and that is, where are my AirTags? Not a mention.
Where's all the hardware?
Yeah, exactly.
There's no hardware.
Nothing.
I really thought when it was talking about the AirPod Pro 3D audio spatial stuff, I thought that's leading up to a hardware announcement of the over-ear headphones, and it's going to have this built in. But alas, that's not yet meant to be.
No, it wasn't. Unfortunately.
Yeah, I think even though it was, even though the whole presentation was about an hour and 40 minutes, hour and 45, it seemed like they got through it at a pretty good clip. There wasn't the usual, numbers of apps we've sold on the App Store and all that sort of stuff that we normally get at the beginning. Unless I missed it, I did come in a minute or two late, but there was a conspicuous lack of numbers and hardware specs and all that sort of stuff that we often see at a WWDC keynote.
Mm-hmm. I didn't start begging to the developers for forgiveness either. Mind you, I think they settled that a couple hours before the event. Didn't they all kiss and make up about that Hey app?
Oh yeah, that's all bridge under water now. Everything's fixed. There's no problems at all. The App Store's been fixed.
Yes.
Hey is now allowed to release their updates, and they've conformed to Apple's guidelines, and everyone's happy.
Who blinked?
Hey did. Hey have added.
Hey did.
Yeah, they've added functionality to make it usable when you download it.
They've said that they will, and I think Apple said, okay, we'll let your bug fix get through, and then your next update you got to sort this out because we want you to sort this out. So they're getting there. But another thing about hardware, about no hardware being announced, normally at the end of these shows, when everyone's in person, they send all the journalists out, and there's normally a tryout lab where you can go and play with the new hardware. And obviously that journalists aren't there, and they probably haven't got the ability to send out new hardware with the new OSs running and give demos. So I think that's probably why we didn't see any hardware this time.
Yeah, I guess also a transition period. So what's the point? If they bring out a Mac or something like that, people are going to say, "What's the point in buying this?"
He did though. Tim Cook did say there's a couple of Intel Macs planned in the pipeline for later this year.
He did say that. He did indeed. Well, that was it. So, what do you think? I'm going to come to each of you in turn now and ask you what you actually thought of the overall presentation and everything that was announced. So, because I personally, like I say, I started off a bit concerned because we seem to be concentrating on very minute things that were more sort of like a lick of paint rather than anything deep. However, obviously not being a developer, they're probably going, "That was really tough." But I am looking forward to the new widgets on the home screen and stuff like that. I think that'll be a good addition. If I'm totally honest, I'm slightly disappointed that iPad OS didn't get more features, more updates, considering it's one of the youngest new operating systems now. I know it's a branch of iOS, but still, I think there was a lot of room for improvement now. We didn't particularly get it this time. But I'm still happy with what they announced. I'm quite looking forward to the new look Mac OS, because I don't mind if they change things up and make it look more modern. At least Johnny Ive wasn't in charge of it, so we can actually read the text. So that'd be good. And, some of the features, HomeKit, still not fully there for me. I'm really interested in the spatial awareness stuff for the AirPods Pro. I think that'd be quite interesting. And, of course, I'm looking forward now to having to buy another Mac at some point next year. Great. Just to take advantage of all this stuff. But I'll probably be due for one. I've been putting off that MacBook Pro purchase for some time now, so it's getting a bit long in the tooth. I hope I don't drop it accidentally. That'd be terrible. So, Dean, what do you think? What was your overall impressions?
Overall, I was a bit worried about the format because we're used to it in a very specific, in-audience format. But I was quite surprised and quite impressed with what they've done. They put quite a lot of nice editing to it, and it was just well paced. I thought there was a few jerky moments when the watch stuff I just zoned out of because that just didn't click with me at all. But the iOS stuff, it's got a lot of nice stuff there. I'm not anymore. Not when I'm sober.
No.
The iOS stuff.
I've still got that video, by the way.
Oh God, I thought you deleted that. iOS stuff, pretty good. iPad OS stuff, I like what they've added, but I think the main focus has been with Catalyst and making the iPad stuff that is already there compatible with Mac OS and compatible. So when you develop on iPad, it converts better to Mac OS. I think that's at least why the iPad hasn't had that kind of jump this year that we possibly were expecting. So as Mac OS and iPad OS kind of catch up in terms of, or Catalyst rather catches up, I think we'll start seeing more iPad OS specific stuff. HomeKit, I use HomeKit a lot, so this is really good, especially the camera feeds on my TV, because I've downloaded a specific app for that because the Apple TV doesn't support HomeKit video, because my kids have started playing out over the past year, not really during lockdown, but before lockdown, and we normally just have like a camera feed that shows just beyond our garden, just onto the street, so we can kind of see that they're okay, and might have to peer out the window every 5 minutes to see where they are and what they're doing. So that's pretty great. Really like that update. Picture in picture means we can watch some telly while keeping an eye on them at the same time. And Mac OS, I'm most excited for Mac OS, and I'm going to install it. I'm going to regret it because it's going to be buggy as heck. But it looks really great. I really love the design language that they've gone for, how they've kind of made it more iOS-y, but still kept the macOS-iness of it. And the fact that it's now macOS 11 seems to be very understated. I don't think a lot of people are jumping on that at the moment. So this is the next big step in macOS, and it does look pretty nice.
Did I miss that? It's now called macOS 11.
I tried to drop a joke in earlier saying it's called macOS XI, and no one really picked up on it.
God,
so,
I totally missed that. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
That's all right.
Yeah, so this is macOS version 11. Oh, at least the screenshots, that screenshot demo that Craig Federici done when he was showing the system saying, hey, this is running on an A12, it showed macOS version 11.0. So I don't know if macOS 11 is ARM only, and this is the Intel variant is staying on 10 point whatever it is, but I assume it's a big jump for macOS 11 for both versions.
Yep. The Mac now goes to 11, as Warren says in the chat room. Alan, what were your thoughts, sir?
Well, on the iPad front, which was my main interest going in, I was disappointed not to see any improvements to the multitasking, which does need a bit of work. I'm hoping that maybe that'll slip through, but just unannounced. And there's no mention of Pro apps for iPad, although I think there's a better chance that we're closer to that now, given that the Macs are going to go ARM, and they've already got Final Cut and Logic running on ARM, and he showed it to us working on an ARM Mac. So, there's still hope there. But I mean, the star of the show, beyond any doubt, was the transition to Apple Silicon, and the prospect of these new Macs that can run all the old Mac stuff. And apps that were designed for the old Mac and that no one's bothered to even recompile, they'll run as well because of Rosetta 2. And all of your iPhone apps and your iPad apps will run on it as well. It'll just run everything. These new Macs are just going to be stunning. So, I'm definitely going to get one of these new Macs when it comes out. Dear. I just don't know which one it's going to be at the end of the year.
Mac Pro? Yeah, they have done their... It is tempting. Of course, the small print will be quite important, so we have to wait and see. But it's looking good. And Steve?
Yeah, so really enjoyed the new format of WWDC. That's been kind of enforced upon us by the current situation. I think they did a really good job of producing it as you would expect from Apple. Some of the transitions and whatever might have been a little bit cheesy, but there's always a little bit of kind of almost geek humor at these things that they managed to still sneak in. But I think it was really interesting and engaging, and like everybody else has said, the iOS, iPadOS, and whatever features aren't groundbreaking, but as I said earlier, I think this is more about a unification of the platform, and it's about more than ever bringing the whole app architecture together under one banner, and that is Apple Silicon, and that was the main announcement of the day.
It is looking good. We got one question. I just noticed Paul's written a question in the chat room, and he says, "Will iOS apps work on Big Sur or only on the new chips?" I can imagine it's only on the new chips.
Yeah. All iOS apps are built for the ARM architecture or the Apple Silicon architecture, so they won't run on an x86 unless that's been emulated, which they are on the iPhone simulator, and it doesn't work as well as you'd think. So, yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, that's pretty much it for us, this post-WWDC 2020 live event. It was very exciting, and we now know what we're going to talk about for the next few months until it probably comes out in, September or October, when we probably get new hardware as well. I am sure Dean has already downloaded every flipping beta there is going. How's that download going, Dean?
I've downloaded the profiles. I've not started the download yet because I didn't want to mess around with the bandwidth.
So now what we got to get ready for is for the rest of the session, for the rest of our podcast until it all comes out, is Alan every week going, no, I'm not upgrading. No, I'm not upgrading. And then immediately upgrades and then immediately moans about how it breaks his system. So we got that to look forward to if going by past.
Back up now, Alan.
Back up, exactly. Yes, don't forget. But unfortunately, this time I've got a spare iPad Pro that I could put this on, because I think the public beta is coming out next month. He mentioned towards the end there, so I might even be able to get maybe on the developer one as well. We have to wait and see.
Brilliant.
But so
the stock market liked it, by the way. They're up $9 now today.
So what are they worth? $1 trillion, billion, zillion now or something?
Yeah, it went up. It went up significantly at the very point he introduced Apple Silicon and the new Macs. So.
Unrelated, but how is the Intel stock doing?
Oh, it's pretty level. I looked at it. Yeah.
Oh,
so no impact yet.
No, I think it was to be expected. I think.
Oh well, it is at the moment. So we shall see. Why don't they call it ARM? Why is it Apple Silicon? Anyone have a suggestion?
Well, ARM is the architecture used inside of it, just like x86 is the architecture used inside the Intel / AMD processors. So it doesn't really mean much.
Well, the silicon is Apple's as well, isn't it? It's only the instruction set that's ARM's.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Well, that's it.
That's their way of putting it.
That's a very long show for us, even though I did mess up at the beginning. So apologies for the extra long show. This is the show that we're not doing on Thursday. So don't look for a podcast on Thursday, because this is it. I'm going to put this out as an audio podcast as well. But if you are listening to this on the audio version, you can search YouTube for the Mac and Forth channel, and you can watch all of us there, and you can see all our wonderful faces. So that will put you off your porridge, definitely. So thank you very much for all our wonderful chat room people for coming to join us on this wonderful show. Thank you for the 7 likes. Don't put yourself out too much, lads and lasses. Hint, hint. Say no more. But yeah, so thank you very much for watching us and joining us, and hopefully everybody will get excited. And as the weeks go on, we discover more things that we can pull apart in this presentation, and I'm sure they've hidden some stuff in there as well, which is probably going to be pretty big bombshells that most of us might get annoyed at, because they always do. It's just the nature of the beast, I'm afraid. But that's it. So obviously got no reviews this week, unfortunately. So if you want to send us a review, please just head on over to your favourite podcast app on your favourite iOS device, or Mac device now, and find Mac and Forth. Give some stars, write a review. We'd really love to hear from you, and it makes us all feel warm and cuddly when we read out one of your reviews. Another way to support us is our Patreon page as well. The link is in the show description or on our website. If you join Patreon now, you not only get access to the audio of the live shows, you also get, which I'll be doing again this Friday, the option to come and actually talk on the show itself with a little Patreon special show that we do on a fortnightly basis. So you can come and join me and chat to me and phone in on Skype if you so wish. It's always good fun. We've only done one so far, so the next one is coming at the end of this week, and I wonder what we'll be talking about on there. So that's pretty much it, I think, from us this week. We'll be back again next week, but on a Thursday. So in the meantime, please, as I always say, everybody out there, stay safe, and please just be nice to each other. Bye.
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 Bye, everyone.